Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Remember, if you love film, gaming, or television content, please consider clicking that subscribe button because today I want to do my very first Oscar nominations predictions video because award season is well and truly underway, so let's get into it. It is so nice this time of year where we are starting to get a bunch more information as to where the Oscar nominations are generally headed. We have had two major award shows release their nominations in the Golden Globes and the Critics' Choice Awards. I think we will really know where everything is headed after the BAFTAs because they've been pretty much on point with nominating things that align with the Oscars. But that's less fun. I like things at the stage where they're a lot more chaotic and random. Also, quick disclaimer, these predictions aren't based on my personal opinion. You will see that eventually because instead of doing a top 10 video for the best films of the year, I'll be doing a video on my own personal Oscar nominations and winners solely based off my opinion. So look forward to that video, which will probably be released about a month away from now. I also haven't seen every single movie here. I have seen a good amount, probably most of them, but with some of them, Australian release dates are just straight up awful, especially for these kinds of films. Some of them aren't scheduled to release here until mid-January to early February. It's frustrating, but what can you do? So with those films and all the predictions, it's more based off what has been getting nominated and what are the types of films that are favored by the Academy. Also, this will be listed, but instead of being in order of who's most likely to win, it's more about who's more likely to be nominated. I will be predicting winners after the Oscar nominations have been announced. And with that said, let's get into Best Picture. So with Best Picture, it's kind of turning into a bit of a three-horse race, but the ones that are most likely to be nominated, firstly, The Banshees of Inisherin. It is absolutely sweeping at the moment. It is getting nomination after nomination, so I wouldn't be very surprised if it got nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. The same thing can be said for Everything Everywhere All at Once. There was a little bit of, I guess, doubt because it's an A24 film, it's an indie film, and that could have held it back, but no. Daniels have made such a creative film that is so full of life that everyone just really enjoys that. So no surprises that it's going to get nominated. With The Fabelmans, I mean, come on, it's Steven Spielberg. He got nominated for West Side Story. I honestly didn't enjoy that film myself, but it got a ton of nominations because the craft is just there. Not seen The Fabelmans yet, but from the trailer, it just looks like the kind of stuff that the Oscars just eat up. It looks like, honestly, from what I have seen from the trailer, it does look like Oscar bait. I have not seen the film yet, but that's the impression I'm getting. And as you can see, it's getting a ton of nominations. Top Gun Maverick has surprised me with all the nominations it has been getting. But, you know, it's kind of the blockbuster of the year. It's made a ton of money and everyone's still so passionate about it. It feels like that kind of return to old blockbusters. Another film that I have not seen yet, and I have no excuse either. It's just I'm not a massive Top Gun fan, but I'm definitely going to try and watch it before the nominations get announced. It does seem like a surefire nomination. I'm kind of surprised that Babylon is kind of teetering on the edge a little bit, and it could completely drop out depending on how the BAFTAs do. It does seem like each nomination, it kind of feels lucky that it got there. And I still think it will get a ton of nominations at the Oscars because from what I have seen, it looks really impressive. And Damien Chazelle is the type of director who just doesn't miss. And then on the flip side, you have Elvis, which is getting so many nominations. I mean, I thought it would get like editing and costume design and actor, but it's getting major categories like director. And it's going to sweep a bunch of technicals, so it's shot right up, and I really think that it's going to get nominated for Best Picture. It feels like a kind of Bohemian Rhapsody kind of deal. I do think Elvis is actually a better film than Bohemian Rhapsody, and I do enjoy it a lot. But I don't know about it getting Best Picture. Next is Avatar: The Way of Water. It, once again, one of the massive blockbusters of the year. I saw it a few days ago. You can check out my review for that film. incredible, and it's full of all of the things that you want from a James Cameron film. It's technically superb, and it's going to sweep a bunch of technical awards, and I think that's going to boost it up into Best Picture easily. Number 8 is Tar. That does seem kind of low, but don't get me wrong, the top 8 here I think are pretty much locks to get nominated. I don't really see any of those films getting knocked out of the Best Picture race, unless BAFTAs just go for something wild and something like Tar or Elvis or something just don't get nominated. But I do see Tar getting a bunch of nominations. It's strong to get a nomination in director. Kate Blanchett is definitely a lock. It could get screenplay, and with that package, it's going to get that nomination easily. Number 9, I have RRR. I think we got to stop kidding ourselves, and this is going to get nominated because every year, without fail lately, the Academy have decided to nominate at least one international feature. And I don't think that's an official rule yet, but I feel like behind the scenes, they're kind of saying, hey, at least one needs to get nominated so we can have that diversity to really showcase different kinds of films, not just ones made out of Hollywood. And I think RRR is going to be that feature. It would be the winner of international feature if India had not submitted that. But at the end of the day, I think regardless of all that, it will get nominated for Best Picture, although it is kind of on the edge because we never know. Number 10, sitting right on the edge there, is Women Talking. I have not seen the film, but from what I have gathered, it does seem like a pretty low-key screenplay film. There's not a lot of director's vision in that type of film. I could be completely wrong here. As I said, I have not seen it. That's a film that's not releasing until February here. But it's also underperforming, especially at the Golden Globes. It did not get really any major nominations, and it completely missed director. I kind of wasn't surprised about that. As I said, it does not seem like a film that has that director's vision. It's more of a screenplay type film. And people have been complaining about the color grading and all of that. And it's right on the edge there. There are some other contenders there that could just jump right up, and Women Talking could completely miss out on Best Picture. But right now, I have it just sitting in there because it seemed to do a little bit better at Critics' Choice. Number 11 is Triangle of Sadness. It's right on the edge there. It kind of overperformed a little bit at the Golden Globes, and I think that it is the number 11 slot, although 12 in Glass Onion is right there too, because it has got Best Picture nominations at the Golden Globes and the Critics' Choice. I do feel like it will kind of slip away, especially as we start getting to the Oscars, because Knives Out, the first one, which I think is a better film, completely missed a ton of categories. It only got a one Lonely Screenplay nomination, and it didn't win. So I think Glass Onion might get a couple more nominations, but I really don't see it winning. The Woman King is also right there because there is a nice package if it overperforms, but I really don't see it getting up into Best Picture. She Said is dependent on the PGA. I think if that makes it into the 10, it is likely that it could surge just to get to number 10 and get that nomination, but I really don't know. I definitely do see a couple of nominations that are possible for it, and that package could get it in there, but once again, it's right on the edge. Same thing with The Whale. I really don't see too many nominations for it. It's starting to become the opinion that the film is not that great. It's more of a thing for Brendan Fraser than it is the film itself. So I really don't see that getting the nomination. After Sun, it's just the kind of indie A24 movie that just won't get in. They're also not the best at pushing their films to get into the Oscars. They have had so many great films that I think easily could have got nominated, and it didn't. And I think After Sun is going to join that because they're going to put all of their eggs in the Everything Everywhere basket. Then the next few, I really don't think they're going to get nominated. They're just there for the list's sake. So here's what I've got for director. We have Daniels for Everything Everywhere. I think that is a real director's movie. There is a lot of unique vision put onto that film, and it tries to tackle so many things, and it does it really well. So it'd be kind of nuts if that didn't get a nomination. Martin McDonagh for The Banshees of Inisherin, I really didn't think was going to get director's nominations. Like Women Talking, it feels like a screenplay film, and even after seeing Banshees, it still does feel like that. It is got that vision behind it, but not like Everything Everywhere or something like that. But it has gotten nominated at Golden Globe and Critics' Choice, and I really see that continuing, and he is surging right now, and so is that film. Who knows, it could taper off, because that does happen. Films start off red hot, and then people get sick of awarding it, and then boom, it's gone. Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans, I mean, he got nominated for West Side Story. The reception for this feels like it's a better film than West Side Story, and it's something that's personal to him, and I think it's a no-brainer that he's going to get nominated. S.S. Rajamouli for RRR. Once again, like Best Picture, they have been nominating at least one international director for Best Director, and I think that's going to continue here, and that's how RRR is going to get pushed into the Best Picture conversation. I think we need to stop kidding ourselves. We always not think of these directors getting in, even though they have done great work. Thomas Vinterberg for Another Round. No one in their right mind thought he was going to get in, but he got in, and I think we're going to see a similar thing here. Then we've got James Cameron for Avatar. I think it will get in, and it should be higher, but Denis Villeneuve got snubbed for Dune, and we could see a similar thing here. Who knows? He's right on the edge. On the outside looking in, you have Baz Luhrmann with Elvis. He has gotten a Golden Globe and Critics' Choice nomination. I thought at first it might have just been a Golden Globes thing, because for some reason the Golden Globes love Australia. That's cool. As someone who's lived in Australia their entire life, to see that representation is really cool. And Baz Luhrmann is kind of a legend here. So it is, even though I'm not a fan of his directing style, you know, we had to study him in school and everything. So I do like seeing him getting nominated. And for me personally, Elvis is his best film. So I guess it's cool. There are other people I would prefer getting a nomination than him, but it's not the worst pick. Then we have Todd Field for Tar. He missed Golden Globe, so it makes me really nervous, and that knocked him right out of this list. It did get Critics' Choice though, so there is a possibility that he gets in. I would really like it, because the directing on display in Tar is definitely from someone who knows their craft really well. Then we have Damien Chazelle for Babylon. I really can't believe he's this low. He missed Golden Globe. It seems like that was the type of film that would sweep Golden Globe, and he missed. He did get Critics' Choice, but Critics' Choice nominated everyone, so I mean, you can't really put too much stock in that. And I'm a little bit disappointed. Damien Chazelle is one of my favorite directors of all time. He would be my favorite if he made more movies, really, but because he's so young as a director, he's not quite there yet in my eyes, but he's top 3 easily for me. Then we have Sarah Polley for Woman Talking. She got the Critics' Choice nomination, but once again, they nominated everybody, so it's like, it really doesn't mean that much. And as I said, it feels like a screenplay movie more than a director's movie, so I don't think that she's going to get nominated at all, and I never really thought she was going to get in anyway. Then we have Best Actor. This one seems like it's almost a really weak category compared to what it usually is, and I think that's because the Oscars aren't, and all awards bodies, not just the Oscars, are giving the attention to performances that are solid, don't get me wrong, but I think there's other ones from more indie films that really deserve to get in there, but they're just going to get overlooked like always. Number 1, I've got Austin Butler for Elvis. This is a career-defining role for him. This is what he's going to be known as for the rest of his life, I think. And I think he's okay with that, and he's campaigning so hard. And it's paid off, because he's got Golden Globe and Critics' Choice, so definitely nomination there is in the works for him. Then we have Colin Farrell for Banshees. Fantastic performance, really funny, and really dramatic too. I really love the performance, and I would love to see this get in. And I think it has a really good shot because of Golden Globe and Critics' Choice, and the fact that Banshees is just surging right now. Brendan Fraser for The Whale. I think he's definitely got in. I saw the trailer for The Whale. Once again, another movie that's coming out in February here. It's like, come on. But anyway, he looks fantastic in the movie, and I'm sure people who have seen the movie could agree with that. Even if they don't like the film, it does seem like it's one of those kinds of movies. Then we have Diego Calva for Babylon. He's on the edge, just like a lot of what Babylon is right now. But a leading actor in a Damien Chazelle movie usually gives a great performance, so I think he could get in. He got the Golden Globe nomination. He did miss Critics' Choice, so that's what makes me nervous. But I think he might pick up a nomination here and there, and that's just going to get him in. Then for the fifth slot, I have Tom Cruise for Top Gun Maverick. Yes, I'm missing out on people like Hugh Jackman, Jeremy Pope, and Bill Nye. I think because Hugh Jackman, firstly, The Sun is not doing well at all. People do not like that movie. I have not seen that movie again. Another February movie, come on. But people do not like that movie. I don't think it's going to get in anywhere, even though Florian Zeller's last film, The Father, did really well and probably overperformed. Jeremy Pope for The Inspection, it just once again feels like that indie thing that A24 just won't push properly. It did get a Golden Globe nomination, so that's a big success, but I don't really see a Best Actor nomination at the Oscars for him. And Bill Nye, it feels like a Clifton Collins Jr. kind of role. Where it's just like this indie thing. The movie doesn't really get that much attention, but people are like, oh, the performance is good. But I don't think it has enough heat to get into the five. Tom Cruise is a really fun pick, and people love Top Gun Maverick, so I don't think they're going to be annoyed at him getting nominated. He did miss Golden Globe, but that's because they don't really like each other, so I think that's that politics that stopped him from getting Golden Globe. And he got Critics' Choice, so I think he's all good to probably get a BAFTA nomination and everything like that, and then he will get into the Oscars. Then at number 9, because I've skipped a few of them already, Paul Mescal. Once again, a small A24 thing. It's not going to get pushed enough. I don't think he's going to get in. Congratulations on the Critics' Choice nomination, though. It's probably really well deserved. I could have seen that at BIFF, but I missed it. Oh, well. Best Actress. This seems like the stacked acting category. There are so many good picks here. Starting with Cate Blanchett in Tar. Powerhouse performance. She absolutely nails that role. And I love that film. So her getting a nomination here is very well deserved. Same thing with Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere. Right now, she is my personal number one. I think she nails her role in that. And I haven't forgotten it since I saw it in February or so. Then we have Margot Robbie for Babylon. I cannot wait to see what she's going to do with this role, because from the trailer, I'm getting a lot of Leonardo DiCaprio Wolf of Wall Street vibes. And that's really entertaining and really fun to watch. And I think that she is going to get a nomination because she hasn't missed. She's got Golden Globe and Critics' Choice. And out of everything that Babylon could get nominated for, it's probably one of the strongest categories for the film. Then we have Danielle Deadwyler for Till. I think this might be one of those things where I'm getting a lot of Harriet vibes from Till, where it's going to get nominated for Song and Actress. And I don't even think that this could get nominated for Song. It is in the mix, but I don't know. Danielle Deadwyler will get in, I think. She missed Golden Globe, but I have a feeling that they didn't really watch the movie, because I don't think it got any nominations. It did get nominated at Critics' Choice, and I think that's going to continue because everyone who's seen that film just raves about that performance. So I think that she's safe. Then we have Michelle Williams for The Fabelmans. Once again, I actually think that she's pretty safe too, even though I've heard that she could be more supporting than lead. But, you know, she's Michelle Williams. She does get nominated a lot, and I think she will here. Number 6, Viola Davis for The Woman King. She gets nominated a lot too, and it's usually very well deserved. She's a fantastic actress, and I hear that she's given a great performance in The Woman King. I do think she's going to miss, even though she did get a Golden Globe nomination. Olivia Colman in Empire of Light. This feels like if she gets nominated, it's just because the Academy loves her as an actress. I personally don't think she even should have got nominated for The Lost Daughter, even though I do love her as an actress. And once again, another January release date for Empire of Light here in Australia, so I have not seen that one. But it probably will be the shining light of that movie, even though that has not gotten good reviews at all. And that's why I don't think that this will get a nomination. She did get that Golden Globe nom, but I think once again it's just because they love Olivia Colman. Then Ana de Armas for Blonde. She got a Golden Globe nomination. I mean, I love her as an actress, but, you know, my most viewed video here is that review of Blonde, and I was not fond of that movie, and I couldn't even really credit the performance. I mean, it is a dedicated and committed performance, and she is the best part of that movie, to be fair to it. But because the film is just a real mess, it makes the performance look worse. And I think that she was lucky to get a Golden Globe nom. It was just one of those weird Golden Globe nominations that happened and she got in. I don't think she's going to get nominated anywhere else because that film is pretty much panned. Then we have Emma Thompson for Good Luck to You, Leo Grand. She got a Golden Globe nom, but I feel like that's because they just like Emma Thompson once again. I don't think she's going to get an Oscar nomination. She's just in that top 10 because of that. Then Mia Goth in Pearl. That's more of a fun one for me. I mean, we're at 10 now. Like, no one's going to get in that's 10 or under. I just wanted to say Mia Goth in X is fantastic. Once again, have not seen Pearl because A24 release dates are horrendous here. But she's giving similar vibes to what she does in X. I mean, it's going to be a great performance, and I would love for her to get any recognition at all for the year that she's had. Best Supporting Actor, number 1, I've got Ki-Hai Kwan for Everything Everywhere. Absolutely amazing performance, and he's getting nominated everywhere, and I think he's going to sweep. Supporting Actor or Actress have usually been the type of awards that just sweep the whole award season, and I think that's what's going to happen again. Brendan Gleeson for Banshees. He's definitely got to get in. He's fantastic. It's almost a co-lead performance, so it does feel like category fraud a little. But nonetheless, it is a great performance. Well deserving of a nomination, I think. Barry Cohen for Banshees as well. I think he even outshines Brendan Gleeson. And I'm glad that he can get a nomination here because he is a fantastic actor. A good up-and-comer that is just turning out performance after performance that I adore. And he got Golden Globe and Critics' Choice, so I don't think anyone's opposed to dual-nominated Banshees in this category. Then we have Paul Dano for The Fabelmans. I don't think both Fabelmans boys are going to miss here. One of them's going to get in, and I think it's Paul Dano, and he hasn't been nominated for anything yet. That's shocking. He is such a good actor, and personally, I would prefer if that supporting actor nom was for The Batman, because his performance as the Riddler to me was fantastic, of bringing a character that's been taking it as a joke forever, finally made them serious and gave a great performance behind it. But anyway, he probably will get nominated for The Fabelmans, and that's great for him. Then we have Brad Pitt in Babylon. I think without the drama around Brad Pitt, he would be a lock to get in. He'd probably be battling Ki-Hai Kwan for the win. But the drama has happened and he is right on the edge. I'm very nervous about even putting him in the 5 right now. He got a Golden Globes nom, but that's because they love the big celebrities. And I mean, they nominated a performance in Blonde, so they're not really caring about controversy or anything like that. And that's fine. I think you should judge things based on merit, even if they might be a despicable person or whatever. But I don't know if the Academy's going to go for it, but I am putting him in here just based on that merit alone. Brad Pitt doesn't get in. It's probably going to be Judd Hirsch, and The Fabelmans would get dual nominated in this category. I hear he's only in the movie for like 8 minutes, but they have given Anne Hathaway an Oscar for about that time in Les Mis, so I don't think they're opposed to that at all. Brian Tyree Henry in Causeway, he got the Critics' Choice nom, but I really think that's it for him. He will be in the mix all the time, but I really don't see him getting in. Once again, another small A24 performance that just won't get that attention, unfortunately. Ben Whishaw in Women Talking. I hear that if you have seen the movie, that he gives a great performance that is well worth a nomination, but he has goose-egged pretty much all the major award shows so far, so I really don't see him getting in. That momentum probably will continue, as I think Women Talking just teeters and keeps declining. Unless there's some kind of late surge, if the BAFTAs can bring it up, or the PGA, or just anyone, I think he could be along for the ride, but right now I don't really see it. Mark Rylance for Bones and All, more of a fun one for me once again. He gives a fantastic performance, and I'd love to see him get in, but I really think he has no chance. At number 10, I'm putting in Miles Teller for Top Gun Maverick, because if that movie overperforms, supporting actor, they've done some pretty weird things before, where Lakeith Stanfield and Daniel Kaluuya both got nominated for supporting for Judas and the Black Messiah, even though it was clear that Daniel Kaluuya was the lead. I know it's kind of different, but it's just them being really just strange and mixing things up with the category. And I think it could be like one of those shock nominations if he just suddenly got in. And if Top Gun overperforms, why not? I hear people love him in that movie, and he commits just as much as Tom Cruise, I've heard, so why not? Supporting actress, I've got Kerry Condon in Banshees at number one. It is very close between a lot of these right now, but I'm tentatively putting her at number one because she is fantastic and she got the Golden Globe and Critics' Choice, so she's definitely doing really well, and I think she's really safe. It's not like she's been lucky to get those nominations. So I'm going to put her at number one because there's been really no shakiness with her. Then at number two, I've got Jessie Buckley for Women Talking. I think this is one of those ones that will guaranteed get Women Talking at least one nomination. She did miss the Golden Globe, but that's because it underperformed a lot. So I really don't know there. It got Critics' Choice. I think it's going to pick up from there. She'll probably get nominated pretty much everywhere else. So, and I think the Oscars is going to continue there. Angela Bassett for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I think we have to lock it in, guys, because she got Golden Globe, she got Critics' Choice. I think she's really solid, and it's kind of well deserved. I'm really glad that she can get in because it is a great performance, one of the best in the MCU, really, even if it is a small supporting role. I mean, that one scene is just fantastic. Then I really think that Everything Everywhere will get dual nominated for supporting actress. I know people are thinking that Jamie Lee Curtis is taking over Stephanie Hsu, and then Stephanie Hsu is going to get knocked out completely. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think the Oscars are going to give them both some love because Jamie Lee Curtis, she did get Golden Globe and Critics' Choice, and then Stephanie Hsu only got Critics' Choice, but I really think they're both going to get in. Even though Stephanie Hsu, it's probably going to be a little bit more doubtful. She might miss here and there, but I really think that ultimately she will get in. Number 6, I've got Claire Foy for Women Talking. She hasn't won anything yet, but from what I've heard, she does give a great performance, and Women Talking was in talks to get dual nominated, so I really don't know what's happening there. I've put her at 6, but that could really just decline because she's got nothing yet. Then I've got Carey Mulligan for She Said. She got nominated for the Golden Globe. I thought that was a fantastic choice. She is so great in that movie, and I love She Said, so I would love to see that get nominated. At number 8, I've got Janelle Monáe for Glass Onion. I don't really see her getting in because none of the ensemble got nominated in the first one, even though there were some fantastic performances. Daniel Craig was terrific, and so was Ana de Armas. There was just nothing there, and I don't know if Janelle Monáe does enough to get in, even though she is fantastic, and there are so many fantastic performances in that film. I just don't see it, that the Academy just... they haven't embraced that type of film yet, and I don't know if that's going to change. Dolly DeLeon for Triangle of Sadness. She got a really nice, I guess, Golden Globe nomination. I don't really see anything else happening for her, even though it is nice that she's kind of in the mix a little bit. And then Hong Chow for The Whale. I don't see it happening. She's got nothing, and I don't know if that's going to change. I really think that The Whale is going to get 2 nominations, and then that's it. I'm sorry, Hong Chow. You're probably not going to get in. Best Original Screenplay. Banshees, I see, is number 1 most likely to get nominated. As I said, it's a screenplay movie. It does feel like it's one of the strongest screenplays of the year. The performances are just so terrific because of that screenplay. They're working with some excellent dialogue. Martin McDonagh is so excellent at that. And I think a nomination is a lock here. The same can be said for Everything Everywhere. Such an original film. It really fits the category of original screenplay. We have not seen anything like that before. And the dialogue and the way that the story progresses are all fantastic, and you have to credit the screenplay for that. Then we have The Fabelmans. It's written by Steven Spielberg and Tony Kushner. I really think that because you've got these legends here working on it, and Steven Spielberg's making this really personal film, it's obvious to me that it's going to get nominated. It feels like it even has a good chance to win and upheave Everything Everywhere and Banshees because they gave Belfast the win. They obviously really love that genre, and Steven Spielberg is someone that they respect the hell out of. So why wouldn't they give him the win? I really think he's a lock to get nominated there. Then we have Tar, which is another fantastic screenplay. Combined with its excellent direction, I really don't want to see this miss. And so far it hasn't. It's gotten into Golden Globe and Critics' Choice, so that's fantastic. Number 5, I have Babylon. That's me being very, very tentative of that though, because I really don't know if that's going to get in. It could get in because it seems like it works at a breakneck pace and it's very entertaining. So I think the screenplay could get credited there. But honestly, that last slot is kind of open-ended, but I'm just going to put Babylon in there for now. Number 6, Triangle of Sadness. It's a very sharp screenplay for me until the third act, and then it kind of starts falling apart. But those first 2 acts, I would say it is a top 5 screenplay of the year until that third act. So they could go for that if it overperforms. Aftersun has gotten a Critics' Choice nomination, so it's definitely in the mix, but I really think Aftersun's going to goose egg. I'm really sorry if you're a fan of that movie. I get disappointed a lot as a massive A24 fan. They usually underperform a lot at the Oscars. I just don't see it for Aftersun. The Menu, I hear, is a very sharp screenplay as well. I don't think it's going to get nominated. It's just not that type of film. Decision to Leave at number 9 and Nope at number 10. They're more just fun picks for me. I love both those movies. And I really think they have no chance of getting nominated, so I'm just going to end that there for screenplay. Adapted screenplay, I tentatively have Glass Onion at number 1, although I really think it will get nominated. I don't see it moving out. If the first one could get in, why not this one? And it has got the Critics' Choice nom to back it up. It didn't get nominated at the Globes, but that's because original screenplay seems like a much stronger category, and they nominated 4 original screenplays and only 1 adapted. And that adapted was Women Talking, which has got nominated for both Golden Globe and Critics' Choice. Another one where I think it's a lock to get a nomination here, and it is in heavy contention for the win. But to be honest, I really think it's going to underperform at the Oscars, and it will miss out on that win, I think. But who knows? She Said, I think, is another lock, and if you've seen that movie, you know it's going to get in. It just works so well. There's really no direction there, apart from directing these great performances and working with the dialogue. But once again, that's more to the screenplay, I think. It's a very screenplay movie, like Spotlight. So I see a nomination in its future. Top Gun Maverick, they don't mind nominating a blockbuster, even though you don't expect it. I don't think really a lot of people expected Dune to get a nomination. It was more for direction and the text and everything. And then it missed out on direction and got nominated for adapted screenplay. So I think Top Gun Maverick might follow a similar thing. And I'm going to say the same argument for Avatar: The Way of Water. I think that it's just so large in scope, and to engage you for 3 hours is a pretty monumental task, and it does do a good job of it. So I think the Oscars will appreciate that, and it will just get in in a nomination, but it's right on the edge. Living is at number 6. I don't think Living is going to get anything. I don't believe the hype. I'm sorry. I think it's going to get a couple of precursors here and there. It did get nominated at Critics' Choice, but I really see it faltering later. It might get a few BAFTAs as well because it's a British movie and they have that bias there. Don't know if the Academy's going to go for it though. The same could be said for The Whale. Once again, it's a 2-nomination movie. There's not much more to say there. Then number 8, White Noise. If I was in charge of the nominations, that would get nominated so easily. I love Baumbach's screenplays. They're so engaging to me. I love his progression. I love the way he works with dialogue. But it's just not going to get in. I just think there's too many people that either just really don't like the movie or just apathetic towards it. Bones and All, I would love to get in too, but I don't see it either. It's just not going to happen. And The Sun, it seems like no one likes that movie, so why would it get in for adapted screenplay? I just have it in at 10 because The Father got in and it won, so they might be really enjoying that Florian Zeller type of writing. Even if The Sun isn't as good, they might still love it enough to get it up there, but it's at 10, so I really don't see it as a shot. Out of all of the categories, this is the one that I feel the least confident on because I haven't seen a whole lot of these. I'm just looking at the list now, I've seen 3 of them, so I can't really make a good educated guess here. I'm just going off what's really been nominated and Gold Derby. I see Decision to Leave winning because it has been nominated for Golden Globe, Critics' Choice. It's directed by Park Chan-wook. And it's a great film, honestly. There's so many things about it that I love, and I would love to see it get nominated for a few more categories other than International Feature. And remember, RRR is not eligible because India did not submit that movie. The way it works, if you don't know, every country for International Feature can only submit one movie to go up for this prize, and then that's it. So RRR was not submitted. It will not get nominated here. Which is a shame because I think it would actually win. It was a poor choice of India not to go for RRR because that was an easy Oscar for them. However, South Korea, you're probably going to get the win because I think Decision to Leave will get it. I know I'm not supposed to be predicting winners here, just nominations, but I really think that that's going to be the case here. All Quiet on the Western Front, that's probably going to get a nomination too because it's just that big epic war movie. I know a lot of people thought it was going to do a lot better than just being nominated for that. But alas, it will get nominated there. Close. I have a review for that movie. I said I think it is solid. It has some great ideas in there. And if you fully connect with it, it really hits you hard. Me personally, just didn't grip me like I wanted it to when I saw it at Biff. But I am glad that it is in the race to get nominated because there is enough in there for me to really recognize that there's a lot of talent there. Then we have Argentina 1985. I know nothing about this movie. I know it's kind of critically acclaimed, but that's really it. A lot of international features are, so it's hard to really gauge what the film is other than that. I do need to go out and find it and watch it because I do hear it's great. And I think it will get nominated. Then at number 5... I tentatively have Bardo. You've seen my review probably if you're a fan of this channel. Bardo is fantastic. It's one of my favorite films of the year. If I was picking the nominations, it would get nominated for Best Picture. I really think that it's a fantastic film. And I would have it winning here personally, but I don't know if everyone, and especially the people that vote here, agree with me. It missed Golden Globe. It got into Critics' Choice. But yeah, it's right on the edge. And I honestly, if RRR wasn't, or was eligible, my mistake, Bardo would miss. I really think that that's the case. But luckily it's out, so Bardo is probably going to be in. Then we have Return to Seoul. This was a film that I thought about watching at Biff, but I missed. But it does look like it's a really good film. And it's right on the edge too. Then we have Holy Spider. I've heard a bit about that film, so I think because of that, it could maybe get in. Really, the rest here, I don't really see getting in. EO has picked up a lot of steam. It's on a lot of people's top 10 lists, so I think that could be in the mix, but I don't know if that's like a weird movie or not, and the Academy don't go for that. As I said, Bardo is kind of this in a similar situation. It's only because it has the craft of Inarritu that it will probably get in. But if you don't have that name, it's probably not going to work for you. Eternal Spring and Corsage, I don't really see getting in. There's no real point in talking about those. Best Cinematography. This one's also kind of up in the air. And we didn't have Golden Globe nominations for this. They don't really nominate really any text, so that's why. Critics' Choice have got those texts as nominations, so that's what I'm kind of gauging it off. But other than that, it's actually really hard to tell. Until we get like the ACE and everything like that, that's when we'll have a more educated opinion on this. But right now, it's kind of just what you think is going to get in. I'm picking Avatar: The Way of Water as the most likely to get a nomination because Dune won last year. They clearly like that massive scope in terms of what wins cinematography. There's definitely more intimate films that I think were deserving of wins in the past that either didn't get nominated or didn't win. They love the massive scope, so why not Avatar getting it? It looks gorgeous as a film. Top Gun Maverick, I think, is right up there too in getting a nomination for the same reasons. Babylon, it has so many technical elements going for it from what I've seen from the trailer, so why not it getting in for cinematography? Damien Chazelle's movies look fantastic, so I don't see why I would miss. The Fablemans, I'm seeing getting that nomination at Critics' Choice. That was really important. From what I've seen, the cinematography looks decent enough, and it is the type of film I guess that would get in. I'm not completely mad of it, but it doesn't seem like it's as gorgeous as something like West Side Story or something like that. Then we have Tar, fantastic cinematography. It's not showy in the way where every shot looks gorgeous, oh my god, but it really, really works with the way that the characters move around. Like on that technical level, it's stunning. So I would love it to get in here, and I think it has a really good chance because at number 6 it's Empire of Light, and I really think that the only way it gets nominated is because of the name alone. Roger Deakins is a legend. Couldn't give enough credit to that guy. Blade Runner 2049 I think is one of the most gorgeous films ever made, and that's all him. So props to him, but I don't think a nomination for Empire of Light makes a whole lot of sense, especially seeing at the reception of the film. Bardo should be in here, no questions asked, but people don't like the film as much as me, and I can appreciate that. And the Academy is probably like that too, and I think they're gonna miss it completely. Then I've got Nope. That's a gorgeous film, but really I don't think has a chance. I don't know why I have Everything Everywhere at 9. If it's getting all of these nominations, it has a chance of getting in for cinematography. I just think, though, that there's other elements in it that are more noticeable than that, even though it is fantastic. Then at 10, we have The Batman. I'm really sad that this is going to miss a whole ton of things because it came out in February or whatever. If this came out at the end of the year, I think it would have a real shot at getting some more noms. Because a lot of people, especially the ones that are voting here, are forgetting how great that film was. I know it's a superhero movie and everything like that, but it's one of those ones that is a little bit more than that. It's not your average like Marvel movie or something like that. There's actual craft behind it. And we have Greg Fraser behind the cinematography who did Dune, who won last year. So the Batman looks just as gorgeous. So it's a shame that it's going to completely miss, but I just wanted to give it some attention at least, and that's why I have it at 10. Best costume design, another up in the air kind of category because, once again, no Golden Globes for it, so I'm just going off Critics' Choice and Gold Derby here. I have Elvis at the most likely to get nominated, and after seeing the film, it feels like a no-brainer. The costumes in that are excellent, and it's just going to add to that package for it to get pushed into Best Picture. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, I really see no reason why it wouldn't get nominated here because the costumes are either on par with the first or just a little bit under, but still, that's a really high standard. I really see a nomination for Black Panther there. Then we have Babylon. It seems like just like that massive Hollywood spectacle movie where there's going to be a ton of costumes, really excellent production design. Getting Wolf of Wall Street and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood kind of vibes, and it's probably going to pick up a similar package as those two films. Then we have The Woman King, which, just looking from the trailer, this is another one that I just missed because there was just so much coming out at the same time and it just missed. But the costumes do look fantastic for that too. At number 5, I have Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, and I just have it in at 5 because Cruella won, and I don't think it got nominated for anything else, and it managed to win solely because it's so focused on its costumes. And I think we're going to have a similar case there. It's obviously not as popular as something like Cruella. It doesn't have Disney behind it. But for a film that's solely based on its costume, why wouldn't it get nominated, honestly? Then we have Everything Everywhere. It got nominated for Critics' Choice, and that's why I have it so high. And because it's going to have that huge package with its Best Picture nomination. But I do see it missing. I don't see it getting like 14 or so nominations like what it has been getting in other places. I do see maybe 8 to 10. And this is one of those ones that's right on the edge. If they do over-nominate Everything Everywhere, it would get in here, I think. At 7, Glass Onion. Fantastic costume design. Very modern costume design, which is refreshing to see kind of in the mix. And it got nominated for Critics' Choice in a really nice nomination. But I think it was one of those surprising ones. It just felt like more or less a Critics' Choice thing. I do see it missing because the Academy loved those period costumes. Number 8, I have Corsage. For that reason, it's all period costumes and everything like that. Even though it hasn't been nominated anywhere else, it has a shot at the Academy. The Fabelmans, the only way I could see it get nominated here at the Academy is it follows the Irishman route. The Irishman, if you remember, it's mainly just suits and all that kind of thing. And from what I see, the Fablemans looks kind of similar in that regard, and I see it picking up similar package to the Irishman. The Batman, I mean, come on, that's another one where I would really love to see a nomination for the costumes because they are some of my favorite of the year. I know people aren't too crazy about the Riddler one or the Batman one, like it's kind of a debate, but I personally love both of those, so I would have loved that, but I don't really think it stands a chance, to be honest. Best makeup and hairstyling, and now we're going to see the Batman get a nomination. I think it's actually the most likely to get nominated because even people that may have forgotten that this came out this year, no one's forgetting about how Colin Farrell was unrecognizable as the Penguin. I remember when that film came out, people were talking about him getting a nomination for that. Luckily, he's going to get nominated for Banshee, so he does get that recognition there. But it would have been cool if he got nominated for that too, because he was really cool in that movie, and the makeup just adds to that character so much. So I really think it has a good chance of getting nominated there. The same thing can be said for The Whale. As I said, it's a double nomination movie. Brendan Fraser and makeup. That's it. Similar to something like Judy in a way. Then we have Elvis. I honestly think the makeup on Tom Hanks doesn't look the best, but that's what they mainly going to nominate it for, so it's just the way it goes. I think that's the kind of stuff that the Academy eats up. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Why not? I really think it will get in. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the first one did get nominated for that category too. Everything Everywhere, I think, gets into, does some really cool things with some of the makeup and hair, especially with Stephanie Shu's character, so why not? Then we have Babylon. Once again, it's just that type of movie, I think, where it could get in. Then at number 7, I have X, just because I am really pushing for that to get in. No one, and I mean no one, including myself, thought that the grandma was Mia Goth, and you'd find out afterwards from an article or you read a review or something, or you just read the cast list and you saw that she played both. No one, and if you're in the comments below saying that, oh no, you knew it was Mia Goth from the get-go and you didn't see those things beforehand, I would say you're lying, because there's absolutely no way. She's unrecognizable as Pearl in that film, so I really think that should get a nomination for that makeup just for her alone. Blonde is more of a filler pick. They made Ana de Armas, Marilyn Monroe. That's the kind of thing that they like to nominate. I think, though, that because Blonde kind of sucks, I'm sorry people out there who think Blonde is a masterpiece, I really don't agree with you, but, you're entitled to that opinion, whatever. It could get in for that. I don't really see it happening. White Noise, more of a fun pick for myself. They did make Adam Driver look a lot older, and the hair on Greta Gerwig's pretty cool too, so, The Woman King as well. It does seem like the type of movie that they could nominate, but probably not going to happen. Best Editing, the technical category that everyone used to think was the one that correlated with a Best Picture one. I don't think that that's the case anymore. They just kind of go for what's the biggest movie and they will give that the win. I think with that logic behind it, Top Gun Maverick seems like the logical choice to get that editing nomination, and it fits in that package with its Best Picture nomination really well, so I can definitely see that happening, and it is the most likely to get nomination because it did get that Critics' Choice one, and I don't think it was because it got lucky either. Everything Everywhere I see getting editing too, because out of all of the technical categories that it could get nominated for, this is one of the most well-deserving for that film, easily, even though it does deserve a bunch of those, because I'm about to put out my own personal Oscars, in a month or so, and that film would be in that mix easily, and for this category too. Elvis is a case of, it's Bohemian Rhapsody all over again. It just has the most editing. It cuts, and sometimes it looks terrible, sometimes it looks kind of cool, but man, I don't like that kind of editing personally. I think it's kind of corny, but Elvis is going to get in for that. I really see that happening. And it's a real strong contender to win because Bohemian Rhapsody did all those years ago. Babylon, it feels like one of those movies, again, that has really strong editing. It got the Critics' Choice nomination, so I do see that happening. I think Tar is the one that's on the brink because while it did get that nomination, It utilizes a lot of long takes, and the Academy usually hates that kind of thing. 1917 didn't get a nomination for its editing, and neither did Birdman, even though those were one take movies and actually utilized some very skillful editing to make it look like that. They didn't get in. Tar's not a one take movie, but those long takes are not the things that the Academy likes, so I don't know if it's going to get nominated. I have it in tentatively because it got the Critics' Choice, but I really don't know. I think Avatar is on the up because it's that big movie that they just like to go for in editing. The Fablemans could get in. I really don't know with that movie, but it could have some good editing. If the Academy actually knew what editing was, well, they do. They probably know it better than I do, but if they actually enjoyed really, really fantastic editing, Decision to Leave would win hands down because that has some truly creative editing that I think is the best that I've seen in the last, I don't know, 2 to 3 years or so. It's very creative in that aspect, and I would love to see that get a nomination there, but I don't think it will happen. Banshees, I don't know. I really just have it at 9 in case it just gets over nominated and that just comes with the package. Women Talking, I think it's going to underperform, and I know there were some predictions for it to get nominated here because it's a dialogue movie, and if it's cutting between characters and things like that, that's usually really fun to watch, like an Aaron Sorkin film or something. But I don't know. I don't see it happening, especially if I'm saying that it's going to underperform at the Oscars. Best Production Design. This is always a fun category for me personally. I think Babylon is the most likely to get a nomination here because they love the whole recreation of old Hollywood. That's solely it. And it got that Critics' Choice nom, and I don't see it slowing down there. Black Panther Wakanda Forever, similar kind of deal. I can't remember if it won or not for production design. It was definitely nominated for the first one. So I really don't see a change there for the second. I think it can get in for production design. Elvis, I think, is also the type of film to get nominated for production design. Really awesome, too, because that was made at Warner Brothers Studios on the Gold Coast, which was right next to where I was working at the time. If you don't know, I used to work at Movie World, just doing admissions and things like that. That was kind of a casual job I did while I was at uni. And yeah, it was just to know that that was getting filmed right next door was a really cool thing. So I have that kind of weird attachment to it, even though I wasn't involved at all. But it'd be cool to see it get nominated for production design, and it does have great production design. Avatar: The Way of Water, production design in that is fantastic. I mean, it just captures that epicness so well. It's not just the visual effects. There's some truly great production design in there, and I think it has a solid shot of getting nominated. At 5, I have Glass Onion. It hasn't got any major production design nominations. It didn't get Critics' Choice. It did miss out. But I do think that modern day production design does look fantastic in that house. It is phenomenal. Number 6, we have The Fabelmans. I don't know why it got Critics' Choice, to be honest with you. I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know what I'm talking about with this movie. There could be some fantastic bonkers ass production design in here, but what I've seen from the trailer, it looks like a house and a town. It doesn't look like it's the most impressive production design that I've ever seen. So I don't know why it got the Critics' Choice nomination, but I do intend on seeing the movie in about a month or so, so my mind could change, but right now I don't know why. It's not number 6 because it got the Critics' Choice nom. Number 7, I have Pinocchio. I think that production design is really, really good and one of the strong points of that movie, but I don't know if it's going to get nominated because it's a stop motion animated film. None of Wes Anderson's stop motion animated films got nominated for production design, and his last film didn't get nominated for production design, even though it was probably the best of the year. Both Isle of Dogs and Fantastic Mr. Fox have great production design, and they both should have got nominated, and they didn't. Guillermo del Toro is a little bit more respected by the Academy. He has a Best Picture win under his belt in The Shape of Water, so they might be more inclined to give him a production design here, but I really don't know. Banshees, I mean, it's in the mix, but I don't know. I've seen the movie. It's a great film, but production design is not the thing that I'm really raving about after seeing it. Bardo has some fantastic production design, but I think that's going to underperform at the Oscars, and I think it's really lucky that it's going to get international feature, and that's it. Number 10, I'm putting in The Northman just because can we give some recognition to that movie, please? It seems like it just got forgotten about. I mean, it is one of the best of the year. Sure, it's not... It doesn't hit the same standards as The Lighthouse. It's not Robert Eggers' best movie. But in terms of production design, costume design, cinematography, all those technicals, it is fucking amazing. Like, why not give it that nomination? I don't know, but... They don't really like Robert Eggers. The Lighthouse got cinematography, and it was super lucky to get nominated just for that, even though it probably should have got 10 nominations personally. With Best Visual Effects, I mean, Avatar: The Way of Water, it's a no-brainer. Like, I think if you don't pick Avatar to win or get nominated, I think you don't know what you're talking about, because those visual effects are so far ahead of their time, like the first one. Even if you hate Avatar, and I know those people are out there, I love both those movies, so I don't really see it. But even if you hate those movies, you can respect the visual effects, and you can respect the fact that they're ahead of their time, even if you don't like the story and all of those other things. I definitely see it getting nominated, and I'm just going to say it's going to win right now. Once again, I know I'm predicting nominations, not wins, but it's just one of those no-brainers. It's one of those categories that even if it's betting at like $1.01, you could put all of your money into that and you're going to get a win easily. It's more of a smart investment than a gamble, really. Not that I'm encouraging you to gamble, but, you know, it's kind of a no-brainer that it's going to get the win. Top Gun Maverick is number 2 most likely to get nominated. I think that's because that they really like practical effects and they count that into visual effects, even if they're kind of not supposed to. Tenet won a few years ago, and it was mainly those kinds of practical effects. Like, they actually crashed a plane into a building. They didn't use any CGI or anything like that. Top Gun Maverick is doing a very similar thing, and probably at a more heightened scale. So I can definitely see it getting that nomination pretty easily. The Batman, similar kind of deal, very practical. There's not a whole lot of CGI that I can remember. But yeah, it's got a lot of those practical effects, and it looks really impressive on screen. Nope, I also have in here, just because of Jean Jacket alone, I mean, me personally, it's some of my favorite visual effects of the year. Even if it's just on the saucer and that's it, it looks really impressive, and Jordan Peele did a phenomenal job with that film. Then I have RRR, because if it's going to get Best Picture nominated, I think this will be the first sign that it's going to get in there. And I think it just gets in, honestly. I, once again, haven't seen that film. I do plan on it, but I'm kind of getting really fatigued with all these 3-hour movies that are coming out this year. So, and just watching another one, it's probably not going to be the best experience for me. And I really want to give it a fair chance. So I will get to it eventually and probably do a review for it too. But from what I have seen from trailers and things like that, it does have some pretty interesting visual effects. Black Panther Wakanda Forever, it could just be the Marvel movie that they nominate. Yeah, it got nominated for Critics' Choice. All Quiet on the Western Front, I'm putting in the mix. Oh, sorry, I missed Everything Everywhere. My bad, my mistake. Everything Everywhere got nominated for Critics' Choice. It is a great movie. It does have some pretty cool visual effects, but I really don't know. All Quiet on the Western Front, I'm putting in the mix because 1917 got nominated, and I don't think really anyone thought it was going to reach that status, but it did. Now, All Quiet on the Western Front is not going to get a Best Picture nomination. I'm calling it right now. But they do like those war movies in that visual effects realm, so it's in the mix. Doctor Strange, once again, it's just because it's that Marvel movie. And then 10, Devotion. I'm just putting it in there because if they're going to nominate Top Gun Maverick for that kind of thing, I don't really care for or really am interested in seeing Devotion, because it does, from what I've seen, look like a Top Gun kind of ripoff. But if they're kind of doing that kind of ripoff kind of thing, then why not nominate it for visual effects if it's doing a very similar thing? I really think it has next to no chance, but, you know, just in case. For Best Sound, Top Gun Maverick seems like the most likely pick. This is all speculation because not either the Critics' Choice all the Golden Globes nominate for sound. So this is just kind of Gold Derby and just the kind of hunches that I have. Top Gun Maverick, I think, it's got those jets and missiles and all of that stuff. I think it's kind of the tech movie of the year. Avatar's going to compete with it, but Top Gun Maverick, I think, will get sound because they love vehicles, loud vehicles in the sound categories. If you remember, Ford v Ferrari won a sound category a couple years ago. Tar, some fantastic sound in that movie. It's a different kind of sound than Top Gun, but the music in that just booms and you feel it right down to your core. It's one of the most impressive movies sound-wise that I heard this year, so I think it has a good chance of getting nominated. Just like what I said for Top Gun, the same applies to Avatar. I'm not going to spend too long talking about the same points. I think it has a really good chance at sound, and after seeing the film, some really good sound. It's probably my number 2 personally in that category. Babylon, it's a Damien Chazelle movie. You've got chaos, you've got the trumpets going and everything that goes on in a Damien Chazelle movie. So why not nominate it for sound? I think it has a really good chance there. Nope. This is kind of a wish list pick for me. I'm really hoping it gets a nomination because it has some truly impressive sound. Some of my favorite sound of the year, like Tar and Avatar. The sound of Jean Jacket flying through and you hear the screams, it adds that horror element and that atmosphere so much. So a sound nomination would be really well deserved, just to give that movie some credit. I'm putting All Quiet at 6 because they love a good war movie, they love the sound of a battlefield and everything like that, and that usually gets nominated for sound. It's right up there. Elvis has a good chance too because it's a very bombastic, it's a Baz Luhrmann movie, you know what it is. That's why it will get nominated for sound. The Batman also has some really impressive sound. It's a technical marvel, just like Top Gun and Avatar, but it's just not getting that recognition, and I don't think it has a good chance. Everything Everywhere, I don't think has a good chance of getting nominated for sound either, even though it's going to get nominated for a ton of other categories. Sound's not one I see. The Northman, once again, can we give that movie some love? That movie has some phenomenal sound, especially in the final act. Some really good stuff, and some of those battles sound very impressive, especially in a movie theater. For best score, I think the Academy really loved Justin Hurwitz. His La La Land score is phenomenal. You see the poster behind me. It's my favorite film of all time for so many reasons. The score is one of those. I think that movie is fucking perfect. Babylon, from what I've heard from the trailer, has a pretty fantastic score, and I think it has a really good chance of winning and getting nominated. The Batman, one of my favorite scores of the year. I know it's very simple, but it's really effective. You can't go to someone who has seen that movie and they're gonna not remember the score. Everyone knows the tune. Pinocchio, I think, has a good chance because they nominate Desplat a lot. I love him as a composer. I'm a big Wes Anderson fan and he does a lot of scores for his films, so he's great. And Pinocchio, the score is pretty good. It's not my favorite from his, but I think it has a good chance of getting nominated, and it has got Golden Globe and Critics' Choice nominations so far. The Fabelmans, I'm hearing, is John Williams' best score in a very long time. I mean, it's probably the first original score he's done in a very long time too. I know he's been nominated for other films in the last few years or so, but it just feels like that he's just reusing a lot of the stuff he's done in the past. From what I've heard from the trailer, the score actually does sound fantastic, and I wouldn't be mad at a nomination for John Williams here. And he hasn't missed. He's got the Golden Globe and Critics' Choice. Don't really see him missing at the Oscar, because he's a legend. Banshees it's got Golden Globe nominated, but it's on the edge. I just think it would get nominated because it would come with the Best Picture package. Makes it look a lot prettier and tidier. At number 6, I have Women Talking, which hasn't missed so far. It's got Golden Globe and Critics' Choice, but I am predicting it to underperform a lot, and score will come with that, I think, if it does underperform. However, Hilda won for Joker a few years ago, but that score to me is phenomenal. I still remember that score. The Women Talking one, I have not heard it yet, but I really don't know. Avatar: The Way of Water, I have at 7 just because it's that big epic movie. If they had have used the score that they used in the very first trailer and they plugged that into the movie, no doubt it would have got nominated. It personally would have been one of my favorite scores of the year because the music in that trailer is fantastic. I still listen to it, but it's not in the movie. A really weird choice, but oh well. I don't see it getting a nomination because other than that, the score for The Way of Water, as good as that movie is, the score does feel mostly just there to be a big epic score. It's kind of forgettable, honestly. Then we've got Tar. It got nominated for Critics' Choice, and it's a really interesting pick. I think the reason it could get nominated is because it's kind of weird and innovative in a lot of ways. Like, it's not really a score, but it is. It's very experimental. It's more sound. Hilda did do the score, but it's like all of the musical cues and everything in that film is from her. But it's not like a traditional score. There's no music in the background. It actually has very little music. But when it does use music, it's very effective, and you know it's there. You feel it. So it could get nominated for that. I actually wouldn't be mad at a nomination for Tar in that category, even though it's a bit of a weird choice. Number 9, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. The first one won last time, so that's really it. I do think the score for Wakanda Forever is kind of forgettable, while the first one, pretty good. Empire of Light, it's only if they're really loving Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. They are legends. I love their work. Like everyone who has seen The Social Network, I think that score is probably the best ever, or if not, it's right up there, top 5 all-time easy. And they did fantastic work there. I also love their mid-90s score, and the Bones and All score they did this year would be a little more deserving, to be honest, but Empire of Light, I don't know. I haven't heard that score. I don't see it personally. Best original song, I've got Lift Me Up for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever from Rihanna. Everyone who heard that song in the movie probably got emotional or felt something because it instantly reminds you of the legacy that Chadwick Boseman left behind. It's a really beautiful song. I actually really like listening to it. And I think it's a good pick to win. And it's definitely getting nominated. There's no chance in hell that it doesn't get nominated. And it hasn't missed. It's got Golden Globe, Critics' Choice, and I think it's the front runner. Then we've got Hold My Hand for Top Gun Maverick. I think I've heard it like maybe a few times on the radio while I was at work or something. But it didn't really strike a chord with me. I think it was kind of a forgettable song. It's more for the star power of Lady Gaga. She won for A Star Is Born, but that song was really good. I still love that song. Hold My Hand I don't think is as good, so it's going to get nominated because of Lady Gaga, but I don't see it winning. Carolina from Where the Crawdads Sing. Man, that's the only kind of nomination that movie's going to get, but it's because of Taylor Swift. Once again, it's that star power, and it hasn't missed. Once again, I don't mind some of Taylor Swift's music. I'm not her biggest fan, especially lately. I kind of like a lot of her poppy, just stuff that someone who looks like me shouldn't really be enjoying, like if we're going off stereotypes. But I actually like a lot of that music, and I'm not mad at her getting nominated here, but I do think it is a forgettable song as well. Ciao Papa from Pinocchio works pretty well in the film, and it's a fun little tune, but it's not one that I'm seeking to listen to again, so I mean, it's going to be in there. Natu Natu from RRR. It just goes with the package of it getting a Best Picture nomination, I think, and I think it will get a nomination. It fits that 5 pretty well. I've not heard the song yet, but my expectations are high. I hear it's a pretty cool film, so I can't wait to hear it. New Body Rumba from White Noise at number 6. It got nominated at Critics' Choice. Really, really cool pick. That is my pick to win. Like, personally, I don't see it getting nominated, but if I was picking, it would win. That song is so fucking good. And if you haven't heard it yet, I definitely recommend you do. And it fits the movie incredibly well. Its placement in that movie, I will not spoil a thing about that movie, but its placement in that movie is really, really cool. Applause from Tell It Like a Woman. This is a Diane Warren thing. I mean, there's like the most random, forgettable movies that no one has ever seen. It probably costs $1 to rent on VOD or something, or it would have been at Blockbuster. But it gets nominated for Best Song because she's kind of just an annual invitee to the Oscars as a nominee. And I feel so bad for her. I feel like they play her every time. She looks so happy to be there, and then she misses out every single year. She's been nominated like 15 times or something, and she hasn't won once. I mean, that's terrible. Like, that sucks for her. I do feel bad for her because now she's getting nominated for these forgettable movies that have no chance of winning at all. And Tell It Like a Woman, if it does get nominated here, it's going to be the same kind of deal. It just feels like it's just taking up a slot that could go to something really fun. However, I do have it at number 7 just because other films are getting nominated, but I have my eye out for Diane Warren. I would not be surprised if it did get a nomination for Best Song. Then we have Nobody Like You from Turning Red. It's kind of like your boy band kind of song. I think it's kind of funky, and it was hot on things like TikTok and everything for a good little while when that movie was out. But it hasn't been nominated for a single thing, so I don't really see it happening. Stand Up from Till. I watched The Oscar Expert, and he says, every year there's always a song called Stand Up that gets nominated, like, without fail, and this is another one of those. It's kind of bonkers, and it's really funny, but yeah, we've got another one, and it has a chance, I guess. And with Danielle Deadwyler getting a nomination, it could go with that movie quite well. Nobody Is Lost from Avatar: The Way of Water. I'm a huge Weeknd fan. He's my favorite artist if we're going into music and everything like that. Nobody Is Lost is a very forgettable song from him. I hate to say it. That hurts so much because I really wanted to love this song. I wanted the credits to roll and be dancing to it and listening to it constantly, but I heard it and I was like, I pretty much forgot it the minute that I was done listening to it. It would only get nominated because of the star power of The Weeknd and because he has that built-in fan base, but I don't see it happening personally. And they've snubbed him at the Grammys for stuff that he is so good at, like in my opinion, his masterful albums. They didn't get a single nomination at the Grammy, so why would this very average song get nominated at the Oscars? I don't see it happening. We're almost done. We're at the tail end here. This is probably going to end up being my longest video. I don't know. This has been going on for quite a while, and I hope you have enjoyed the ride so far. Best Animated Feature, I have Pinocchio winning hands down. Guillermo del Toro, his direction is superb. It is very technically proficient, and the stop motion does look gorgeous. And people really, really love that movie. I didn't love it as much as everyone, but I do think it's a good movie, and I respect the craft enough to know that it's going to get nominated for Best Animated Feature, and is definitely the front runner to win, and it hasn't missed. It's got Golden Globe Critics' Choice. It's happening, people. Turning Red, I think, is second. It's the Pixar film that Disney's going to just push for to get that nomination. Don't think it has a chance of winning, though, but it has got Golden Globe and Critics' Choice nominations. Marcel Shell, I am really happy that this is in the mix and it hasn't missed yet either, because the more A24 nominations, the better, in my opinion, and Marcel the Shell is a great pick. Out of this list, it might be my favorite out of these animated features. Don't know yet. I'd have to rewatch some of them, because there are some in there that I know that people aren't too keen on that I actually enjoyed watching, just because it's fun to watch those. Number 4, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I honestly had zero interest in watching this movie until it started getting all this hype. I saw a review from IGN say that this is the Logan of the Shrekverse. I mean, what the fuck? Just a crazy, crazy thing to say about Puss in Boots. It was the last thing I was thinking. But the animation, being serious now, it captures a lot of Spider-Verse vibes. I know that's going to become a cliche really quickly to compare things to fucking Spider-Verse, because it's like comparing a video game to Dark Souls. Everyone compares a game to Dark Souls, and it's like, can you stop? It's redundant, and it's going to be a similar thing here. But anyway, I'm going to use it. It looks pretty cool. I'm pretty interested in seeing it, and when it's available, I probably will give it a watch. At number 5, I have The Bad Guys, even though it has missed everything so far. I think it's just the movie. I mean, it could miss because Puss in Boots is going to be what DreamWorks is going to push for. But The Bad Guys, people like. I've not seen the movie yet. I do actually want to see it, because I know there's a little bit of passion behind it, and that could just be enough to get it into the 5. Number 6 is Wendell and Wild. It got Critics' Choice. Honestly, I I think they'd just be nominating that movie just because it's Henry Selick and that's it. I think it's probably his weakest movie personally, but it could get in. The stop motion or the claymation, it does look pretty good, and there is enough in there for it to be worthy of a nomination, but I think it's a really dull film personally, so I don't know. My Father's Dragon, that's a movie I've been hearing about. I don't know. Strange World, a Disney film. If they put all of their eggs in that basket, it could get a nomination. I really don't see it because a lot of people are very lukewarm. They think it's mid. I think that's it for it. Lightyear, I don't think has a chance, even though I think that it is a solid enough movie that I wouldn't be mad if it made it into the 5. But I don't really see it happening. And then Apollo 10 and a half, another movie I would really have liked to have seen get in, but that was pretty much dead on arrival. I don't think anyone really cared about that movie, apart from the people that saw it and thought, hey, there's actually a really good underrated movie. And if you haven't seen Apollo 10 and a half, it's on Netflix. Go check it out. It's a good movie. Alright, speeding through these now because this is going to become 2 hours long and I don't think anyone's going to really want to see that. So let's get into documentary feature. I know pretty much nothing about these. I've been really bad on the documentaries this year. I've been intending to see a couple, but I've really seen none. But number 1, I've got All the Beauty and the Bloodshed. It's just the kind of critical darling documentary that I'm hearing a lot about. Probably going to get the nomination. Fire of Love, kind of similar thing. I know nothing about these. I'm really sorry if you're really into documentaries. Goodnight Oppie. I think that's about the Mars rover. I really don't know. But it does seem like an interesting one. So I think that's going to be in there. And I've heard good things about it. All That Breeze, I really know nothing about, surprisingly. But it's probably going to get in just because I think it has won at some critics groups and things like that. Moon Age Daydream, I do know something about. I was actually interested in seeing this one it's the David Bowie documentary that is kind of experimental, but that kind of captures the essence of David Bowie anyway. I think it has a good chance of getting a nomination. Then we've got Descendant, which I've heard things about. Navalny, I've heard really good things from Sundance. Don't know. Senior, the Robert Downey Sr. and Robert Downey Jr. documentary that's on Netflix, I intend on seeing, but I've kind of heard that's kind of mid. I don't know. I've also heard good things about it. Who knows? Eternal Spring, I saw it was in the lineup of Biff and I had considered seeing it because it follows a similar structure to Flea, which was the most deserving of winning documentary feature in my opinion last year. That was the best documentary I have seen probably forever. It's probably my favorite documentary of all time. That documentary is so moving. It is phenomenal, and if you haven't seen it yet, check it out. I really think it's almost essential cinema in a lot of ways. Number 10, I have Stutz just because it's a fun pick. That's actually the only documentary I think I've seen this year from a 2022 release, and I really enjoyed it. I love what Jonah Hill is doing with his direction. I think it's really personal, it's really intimate, and I really love what he did with that documentary. For a nice way to cap off this video, I'm going to go with the fan favorite. I know it's a meme thing, but hey, let's go into some predictions. I have Morbius at number 1 because if you don't remember, Army of the Dead won it last year because I think everyone was going for the meme. And I know Cinderella, the one with Camilla Cabello, got a ton of votes and almost won. It was up there. So I think Morbius is the one. It's the meme movie of the century. Obviously, it's a shit movie, but it is such a great pick for fan favorite. Why not? It'd be a good laugh out loud moment for the Oscars if they keep going with this. Top Gun Maverick, I have number 2 if they're going for something more serious and they manage to get rid of a lot of the meme votes. Top Gun Maverick is the kind of the crowd pleaser of the year, I think. Then I have Robert Zemeckis' Pinocchio going back into the meme because Cinderella got that really high votes for this category, so I think Pinocchio could do that too because a lot of people hate that movie. I decided to give it a miss because why watch something I know I'm not going to enjoy. Number 4, I have The Batman because I really think that a lot of people love that movie and I think it would be really nice to give it some recognition at least somewhere, even if it's in this joke fan favorite vote thing. Then I have Everything Everywhere because who doesn't love that movie? I mean, it's going to get some votes. I have Turning Red because it blew up on TikTok for a minute and everyone was really, really enjoying it. Number 7, I've got Avatar, because once again, a really big crowd pleaser. I think a lot of people really did enjoy that movie, including myself. Minions, going back into the meme, Minions Rise of Gru. I think people actually really enjoyed that movie. I'm not really too into Despicable Me and Minions. I've only seen really the first Despicable Me. And I thought it was okay, but everything else in there, just whatever. I don't really care. It's not for me, so... But it could win fan favorite. It'll be up there, but I have it at 8. Number 9, Moonfall, for the meme again. It's that really crappy disaster movie. Decided to give that one a miss, but I do want to watch it for dumb fun because I do hear it's really good in that department. Number 10, Elvis. A lot of people love that movie, and that is why it's going to get into Best Picture, I think, because of the crowd-pleasing elements. It's like Bohemian Rhapsody. A lot of people had a good time watching that at the theater, including myself. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. That's my Oscar nominations predictions video done. I will not be doing another one. There's some really great channels if you want that monthly kind of content. You probably already follow them anyway, like the Oscar Expert and the Film Drunk. Go check them out. They're really fantastic. Way better than what I do. This is my first in this one. I hope you really, really enjoyed it. It was kind of a risky thing for me. I know it might have been a little bit patchy at times because this is my first time doing this. But look forward to more videos like this, especially when Oscar season rolls around. I'm going to do my picks for what wins. I'm going to do my own personal Oscars, my own personal nominations, and my reaction to the Oscars. I will be doing that too, and probably my reactions to the nominations as well. It's all going to be a whole bunch of fun Oscar content. I love this season. It's so amazing. I look forward to it every single year. And fun fact, it's falling on my birthday. The Academy Awards are going to be on my birthday. I am so excited for that. That never happens. And Oscars Day is usually a fun one. I usually put a whole ton of money in gambling on some of these and usually lose money, but oh well. Anyway, enough rambling. Thank you so much for watching the video. Tell me your predictions for the Oscars in the comments below. Probably going to be a little bit different to mine. I did go for some more risky picks, I think, because I want that chaos. It's always fun. Anyway, remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.